Hello. Today is Monday the 3rd of August, and in our Church of St. Chad we celebrate the solemnity of the anniversary of its consecration. The 3rd of August in 1847, bishops and clergy and people gathered here so that with august rite and splendid ceremony, that this part of the world, this building, this bit of creation was set aside for use solely for the glory of God and the salvation of souls, for prayer and worship and the sacraments. It was a great time of confidence for the re-emerging Catholic community. Newman talked about the winter turning into a second spring at this time. Whether there'd been quite a severe winter up in the northwest is debatable, but nevertheless, it's a time when Catholics came out of the shadows, and they could build splendid churches in ancient style, patroned by ancient bishops like St. Chad. See, the great claim here was that Roman Catholics were not some imported group. They were not Italians or just Irish or just whatever. That this is the traditional religion of the English people. I think Eamon Duffy says that in his book Stripping of the Altars. Catholicism is the traditional religion of the country. And since the Reformation, it had to hide. Mass was still celebrated in Manchester, in the upper rooms of pubs and inns, I'm happy to say, in print works and dye works, hidden away down streets and cobbled alleys and lots of stairs. There were martyrs here, of course, martyrs who walked down the streets, who were familiar with the topography of this area, who spoke the same Lancashire dialect as we do. So it had always been there, but now it could emerge from the shadows into the sunlight. The original St. Chad's, which was consecrated on the 24th of June, I think, in 1776. It was built a couple of years before that. That's now under one of the department stores in town. Disappeared. And when that church closed, its furnishings were brought up to the new St. Chad's, the mother church of the city, St. Chad, in Rook Street. Its rector, Provost Croskell, brought the furnishings and the congregation up now to the brow of the hill overlooking the city. It's really rather lovely, actually, to think that St. Chad's, as the mother church, sits on just that brow of Manchester, and it can overlook the whole city centre. Well, if it wasn't for the big glass boxes they keep building in the way. We're on a Roman road here, Cheetham Hill Road. It was called York Street. It was the street to York. So it's handy to get to the oratory, just keep walking up the road. And you see it, Cheetham Hill Road, York Street, come down the hill, and it would then turn into Danesgate or St. Dennis's Gate, and then continue down to Chester Road. So that's the old Roman road between Chester and York. It's the ancient M62 that we live on. And that means that everyone from everywhere has come to the city. It's been and still is a remarkable multicultural place. People bring their stories and all sorts of aspects of their lives and bring them to the city. Just around our little church here, well, it's the biggest church here, All the poor immigrants came in. All the poor migrants came in to this area because it was the very poorest part of Manchester and still is, really. And they left their synagogues. I think in our little back streets here we had 30-odd synagogues from different parts of Eastern Europe and Spain and Portugal, and they all came and settled here. And of course, as every immigrant group does, it wants to prosper and then it moves out into the leafy suburbs. It's the same with the Italians and the Polish and the Ukrainians and the Lithuanians and the Nigerians and so on. And people from other religions too come here and they leave their markers too. So it's always been one of those wonderfully vibrant areas. I remember talking to some older parishioners who say on Whit walks, St. Chad's always took first place because in the procession because it was the oldest parish. And all the Jewish kids used to come and wave as you went off and cheer for St. Chad's. And I think they probably joined in faith of our fathers as well, which is very appropriate, really. So this church on the hill, the Mother Church overlooking the city, is the living continuity of the faith all the way back to the Roman garrison, all the way back through the various vicissitudes of life in 2,000 years, of growth, of the time when church and nature and society and politics all came together in the Middle Ages. And then the time of blood through the revolutions and the reformations. You know, the first blood of the Civil War was shed here on the bridge in Manchester. There was a prison built just for Catholics here. But as Catholics had to hide away, well, the time came for them to come back to the surface, to the light. But wherever they were, whatever happened, prayer and the sacraments always continued. Whatever was happening in people's lives, prayer and the sacraments of penance and the Mass in particular were celebrated. And so it means that all these things are offered up to God and God's blessings are brought down into them. The ups and downs of life are sent up to God and his blessings are brought down into those particular areas. And all of that happens in this church, set aside for that purpose. Its walls soaked in water, containing ashes and oil and wine, and lights placed on the inside of the church, on the points where it's been consecrated with sacred oil. And the alphabet in the Roman letters and the Greek letters was marked out in ashes on the floor of the church, so that all language, all human experience, and the gaps between language as well, the silences, are all made valid here. And the relics of the saints. And the altars, again consecrated with holy oil and with incense for the sacrifice of the Mass, for the throne of the Lamb, for the centre of the cosmos, abides and lives and breathes and has its influence in that consecrated church. In this building here, set aside for solely the worship and praise of God and the salvation of souls. So pray for us today People are always people, and they're always struggling. So pray that all those people, wherever they are around the world, whatever religion they are, or culture they are, or what history they have, they can find a home here, and healing here, and light here, and joy here. It's great to be part of that story. So pray for us. And I'll pray that God's holy angels guard your going out and your comings in, and that they abide with all those whom you love, both in this world and the next.